Edu Arctic2, Polar Research for Education, innovative program in Poland and Norway. Webinars.
Everyone can hear me well and see me well. Well, that's not that important, but at least hear me well. Welcome to this seminar, which I've called All Year Outdoor Activities with Kids in the Arctic, the Art of Variation. My name is Edu Arctic2, and I sit in Tromsø, city of Tromsø. Maybe you have seen that on the map, approximately 67 degrees north. And I work as research head of a department in Norwegian Institute for Bioeconomics. We have stations all over Norway, and in my department we work with rural and development and natural resources. Okay, but I have kids. I have 3 kids. 3 boys, and all parents, of course, want the best for their kids. And one of these things is to be outside, and that's usually not a problem. Of course, when my kids grew up, we had no internet, or the internet was very bad. So we didn't have that problem. I call it a problem because it's the whole world in a small little box. So we didn't have that problem, and I'm not sure how we would have done it today if the kids had been small today. But anyway, outdoor activities is important for health. It's important for to be able to thrive where you live. Doesn't matter if you live in the north or in the south. We think that it's important to be outside in all different kinds of weathers, and also to do nice things outside. We think it's good for mental and physical health. This picture is of my first son. I was born in '98. And we went trout fishing. I think he was approximately 7 years old in that picture. And this is actually a very good lake, which is situated 10 meters from the road. So meaning that we are just walking 10 meters to fish. And that takes away a lot of it's just a cozy trip. And when you get trout like this, it's perfect. Okay, I think it is a universal agreement among all parents that all kids benefit from physical activities and outdoor life, which I already said. Goal 1 for many parents is to continue the traditional lifestyle in the area where you live, and to teach the kids what you can do and how people have lived and live in the area that you live. That is one thing. Another goal should be goal 2. I don't know why it says goal 3. Is of course happy and healthy kids. Goal 4, to keep them away from the internet. It wasn't a big problem when my kids were small, but it could be now. I have always also seen that kids in the kindergarten, when they see something outside the window that they want to look at, they try to enlarge this outside the window by doing like this on the window, like it was an iPad. And that, of course, I don't like that. So challenge 1, internet. Challenge 2, motivation. Is not always something that kids want, and to go outside and be outside on a trip, small or big. And it's not always that you should actually go. You could ask, should we go? Do you want to go on a trip? The kid could say no, and you can accept it. And sometimes accept it and sometimes not. But the important thing is to make the trip worthwhile and to give the kid or the youth a good experience. And in the Arctic, as I will come back to, in the Arctic, the weather is not always very nice. In Tromsø, the weather is not always very nice. It's a lot of snow, it's a lot of wind, it could rain. The sunny days are few. So if you are planning to go out only when you have sunny days, you will not go out very much. So in the Arctic areas, climate and weather demands equipment and preparations. And that's up to the parents, at least when the kids are small. So also in the Arctic, you have a strong seasonality, meaning that you have large variations in weather, snow conditions, temperature, moisture around the season, meaning that you can do a lot of different things and have to adapt to different seasons, especially, of course, with clothing, but also with what you do. It could be an autumn trip with a dog, just a small trip in the forest. It could be tenting in the summer. I'm just pointing here, tenting in the summer and doing activities, relaxing outside the tent. It could be skiing in winter. This picture. It could also be hunting in the autumn, so skiing, fishing, kayak, and Norwegian cabin life. I will come back to Norwegian cabin life, which is very special. Norwegian cabin life is very, very important in Norway. I don't know if it's especially important in Norway, but I think maybe also Canada, Alaska, and Sweden and Finland. But in the Scandinavian countries, northern Scandinavian countries, cabin life is very important. So spring, you can go skiing, fishing, kayaking, and Norwegian cabin life. And spring, you have snow here in Tromsø until end of May, where you can go skiing. In June, you can also go skiing, but then you have maybe to go a little bit on your feet first before you reach the snow. But sometimes the snow doesn't disappear from the mountains during the summer. Summer, you can go fishing again, of course, kayaking, mountain climbing, walking, berry picking, which is a traditional activity to go out in nature and pick berries, blueberries, a lot of different berries. I'm not good at the berry name and English berry names. You can go tenting, and again, you can have Norwegian cabin life. In the autumn, you can go hunting, fishing, mountain climbing, walking, berry and mushroom picking, tenting, and Norwegian cabin life. Again, tenting is just to go outside and put up a tent and just relax and have a fire and take it easy. Of course, you can go just a day's trip and relax. You don't have to have a lot of equipment with you all the time. Depends on the weather. Winter, skiing, fishing, and again, Norwegian cabin life. So let's talk about Norwegian cabin life. What is that? Norwegians are more or less, I think, now wealthy. It's not all that are wealthy, but we are a wealthy country, and we have most people live in good houses or good flats with all the necessary luxury that modern people have. But in Norwegian tradition, we love a cabin, and most families have a cabin. Either they have a cabin themselves, or their parents have a cabin, or their grandparents have a cabin. Most Norwegians, I'm not saying all, but most Norwegians have some kind of relation to a cabin in the family. And a cabin is a very simple well, let's call it a house, very simple house. It should, according to Norwegian cabin traditions, not have electricity. In some cabins, like our cabin, we have solar panels, which gives you a little bit of light and also radio. But you should not have electricity, and also you should not have water inside the cabin. I mean, in tubes and in like a sink. You should actually go out and fetch water. And that's what we do in our cabin. We go down to the river, which is most Norwegian cabins are, of course, because of that, placed close to water. We go down to the river and take water up to the cabin. And during winter, when the lake is frozen or the river is frozen, you have to axe yourself through the ice and then fetch water. So it's kind of a place where you have to go out and fetch the things that you take for granted when you're home. Also, of course, when you don't have electricity, you have to heat with wood, and you have to make this wood during the autumn, and then let it dry for at least a year, and then you can use it to heat up the cabin. And around the cabin, it's outdoor activities all the time. It's skiing during winter. I will come back to what we do during summer. And when the kids are small, we have in Norway something called pulk, which is where you put a small baby. It should be at least 6 months old, and then you can put it in the pulk, which you drag after which you drag so that you can go out skiing even though you have a baby. The baby is of course tucked into a lot of layers of wool and maybe a sheepskin. So the baby has a good time and sleeps most of the time. So that's not a problem. And of course, kids have to learn to get wood to heat up the cabin. The cabin is a place where you have a very simple life and you have actually no disturbance. So here you see again kids preparing wood. Here you have some swimming in the river nearby the cabin. We can fish there. And here you have some ski jumping during the winter. You can go skating, ice hockey on frozen lakes near the cabin. You can use a husky to get the kids to go further on ski than they actually want. So they think it's nice and they don't get that exhausted, and you maybe go 30 kilometers instead of 5. And when the ski tracks are prepared, and the weather is nice, I think they have a very good time. Inside the Norwegian cabin, as you can see, it's not like home. It's a small place, so you need to dry clothes near the oven here. Everyone is very close to each other because the room is small. We have, of course, bedrooms, not very big, but everything is very compact, meaning that, and almost everything is of wood because we have a lot of wood in Norway. So then you could have a very nice time with your family to play games and to talk and to just relax. So Norwegian cabin life is kind of a holiday from the everyday life. And the cabin is usually situated not very far from your home. Let's say, well, all from half an hour to 2 hours drive, then you are at the cabin. Okay, let's say that you are going to go for a winter trip. And you have kids and it could be cold. and you are either going ice fishing, like here or here, or just on top of a mountain. What do you need in winter? You need, of course, clothes, and wool is the most preferred layer of clothes close to the body because it's warm and it takes the moisture from the skin. Wind jacket, mittens, buff, cap. Then you need skis almost always because it's a lot of snow and you need to skis to get somewhere. I get some questions here. I will try to answer them soon. I will just take one other slide and then we can have some questions. Okay, you need skis, poles, wax for skis, skins for skis, ski boots. You need a pulk with the wool blankets, sleeping bags, fishing equipment, ice drill if you want to fish. Food, water, hot drinks is a very smart thing to have. Snacks, of course. Kids need to have something to kind of look forward to, so you have snacks. You have stove for hot food. Backpacks to carry all the equipment. And if you have a dog, you need equipment for the dog and food for the dog. And this you can times with number of kids and number of dogs. Just show you a picture of what you do when you, now a film, sorry, of what you do when you have removed all the snow from the cabin roof, because that you have to do. It could be 2 to 3 meters of snow in this area during winter, and the snow is heavy. So if you don't remove it from the roof, it could actually collapse. So that's something that we do and you have to do. And of course, when you do that, you have worked, you are finished, you have to do something funny. Okay, see if we have some questions. I'll go to the chat now. Have you been to these houses before? I'm not exactly sure what you mean, but yes, I have. It would be great to be there. Yes, you're welcome. Just ask questions. I will answer them as we go through. This is from a trip to not a very big mountain during the summer, and of some reason this son, which is I think 15, 16 years old at that time, 15 maybe, he had an attraction to flies, as you see here, while this kid did not have a fly at all, and he was very fascinated by the fact that all the flies only were attracted to him. And as you can see, it was a little bit, he didn't like that. There you can see the coast. So it's a very nice view from the top of the mountain. And this is when we take kids to farms and let them experience how the life with the animals are. And this lamb has to have milk because the mother doesn't want it. You can see it's windy, but we were inside and we just went out for a small trip. This is from a farm situated far out on the coast. This is a film from activities. The cabin is over here, and we just walk over here and make a ski jumping hill, and then we go ski jumping. Doesn't want to start. Let's see. Okay, it says he can't play. It was a pity. No, okay. And then we have a hunting trip. This is the second ptarmigan, which my son has shot. And hunting is also part of the Norwegian life, where we go um, out to hunt. We could hunt ptarmigan, we could hunt moose, which is of course big, a lot of meat. But this is in the Norwegian tradition that you can go out in the nature and fetch your own food. Of course, all the equipment that you need and all the money that you spend on driving and hunting license, it's not worth it, because this ptarmigan is very expensive. It should be cheaper to just buy it in the shop, but that will take away all the experience that you actually go out and are able yourself to take the food. And in Norway, it's a lot of ptarmigans, so it's not that you are hunting a threatened species. He's very happy there. You can see how proud he is because he has shot it himself, and he didn't shoot that. I shot that, so he's kind of in the learning process of why we hunt, and we will end this learning process by eating a dinner with the birds, of course. And then we have some fun. In this picture, you have a kid. He's hiding. Yes, here you see a picture from a father which drags his son up very, very early in the morning, too early to go hunting because we are in a tent. And there we can see we're making food inside the tent the evening before we go hunting. And of course, I dragged him up too early, and then he had to sleep during the day. In the middle of the day, he had to sleep because he is a youth now. He's 16 years old, 15, 16 years old, and I didn't mention that before, but when they are 16, 17, 18 years old, of course, there are other interests that take over, and they forget the outdoor life for a bit. Now my kids are 20, 19, and 14. So I hope and I think that the oldest ones will get back to this life when they are grown-ups and have their own family. And that's actually how the traditions are passed on, that they have a period where they don't do it because they have other interests, and then they will take this up again when they get their own kids. Here is fishing. This is from a long trip where we walk approximately 3 hours with backpacks. Not a very long, but medium long. And then we fish for Arctic char, which Johan has now gotten one and is very happy. And then we make food outside uh, this Arctic char, and we eat it, and everyone is happy. Let's see if you have some questions. OK. Nytt spørsmål. Ja. Is it difficult to try to hit an animal? You mean that to shoot the ptarmigan? Yes, it could be a little bit difficult. You have to either see it on the ground and shoot it on the ground, or these birds are very well camouflaged. So most of the time when you're going hunting, they just suddenly pop up, and then you have to shoot them in the air, and that's a little bit difficult and needs a little bit exercise. But you have a shotgun, of course, so that you have a lot of well, it's not just one bullet, so you have a bigger chance of hitting the bird. But you could, of course, miss. So that could happen. And the kids, they have to train shooting on this clay doughs on the shooting range. Here is a very happy son, which has fly fished for his first time, and he actually got this very nice trout, 1.4 kilos, I think it was, and we are putting it out back into the river because it's a very nice fish and it's not a lot of trout in this river, so we put it back again and let it survive. We don't eat it, don't always eat it. Yeah, here is from Norwegian cabin life on the top of the mountain. When you are carrying that kind of equipment, you need, of course, the equipment to be as light as possible. And so that could be sometimes expensive because you need light equipment. You should have light equipment if you want to go for a long trip high in the mountain. This is from berry picking, and this is kayaking. Of course, you cannot do kayaking in the age from 4 to, let's say, 12, 13, because they are too big to sit in the kayak at that time, but they could be in the kayak underneath 3 years, and they can have their own kayak when they are above 13, I think. But then, of course, they have to go courses and learn the security and everything. Berry picking is something that kids can relate very well to, because when they have picked all this berry, which is, this is blueberries, which is, well, it's a job, but it's nice to do that outside. Then, of course, we make pancakes with blueberries afterwards. Yes, that was the end of it. So if you have some questions, I will take them now.
Det var et spørsmål der jo om å lære å hoppe på ski.
Yeah. Okay. Was the question about learning how to jump to jump on ski, to do ski jumping, and well, you can just do it. You will fall, but you just fall in the snow, so you don't hit yourself. So you can just actually learn to be able to stand on the skis down a small hill, and then everything can happen. But you will not hurt yourself because of the soft snow. But if you want to learn to jump and then not fall, but just landing beautifully and stopping, then you need to first learn how to ski in a flat, just in the flat ground, and then when you are more or less able to do that, then you can increase the difficulties. But in Norway, kids start skiing. Most kids get their first skis when just after they have learned to walk. So in Norway, most kids are very good at skiing when they are 5, 6, 7 years old. They could go skiing, cross-country skiing or alpine skiing, because of the culture in Norway of skiing. So, but we have a lot of, not now, but we had a lot of tourists in Tromsø, and you can see how they train these Danish people or African people or whatever. And I'm a little bit surprised that it takes so long time for a grown-up to learn how to ski, but if they are eager, they will learn it. But it's very different from walking, actually, even though it doesn't seem like that, to actually go skiing well. So I have seen people taking this very quickly and people using a lot of time. I would like to fly there, yes, when Corona is over and it's easier to fly. It's not actually that expensive. It depends a little bit on where you fly from, of course. but we had a lot of Asian tourists here before the corona, and I don't think it's, well, by Norwegian standards, that expensive. Do all teenagers learn ski jumping? Well, in most Norwegian families, as mentioned, the kids grow up with skiing, and I would say most teenagers actually know how to jump on skis. Doesn't mean that they do it, but if they want to do it, most can do it.
Watch other recordings from webinars on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/EduArctic. Edu Arctic2, from polar research to scientific passion, innovative nature education in Poland and Norway receives a grant of 240,000 euros received from Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway under EEA funds.